will now be recorded.
For benefit of council, I do have one addition. There was a letter of support request that was circulated on behalf of St. Joseph's CWL. So I did circulate that prior to the meeting. Any other additions this evening? I would ask for an approval of the agenda with the one addition.
Move to approve the agenda as amended.
Okay, thank you. Deputy Mayor has moved the motion. Do we have a seconder?
Second.
Okay, seconded by Councilor McCrory. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded. The agenda is approved with the one addition. So for gallery presentations, we have Matchup Labs. Okay, perfect.
Be long, be quick.
Well, welcome, Andrew.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
I thought there was somebody in the audience here.
No, I'm here on Zoom. It's can everybody hear me okay?
Yep.
Yes.
You're all good, Andrew.
And would you like me just to jump right in?
Jump right in.
Fantastic. So again, thanks so much for making a little time for me on your agenda this evening. For folks I haven't met yet, my name is Andrew Button. I'm founder and CEO of what I call a for more than profit company called Mashup Lab. And what I was hoping to do tonight is just share a little bit of details around the program that we've been running here in rural Nova Scotia for many years now. And hope to do more of, as well as in lots of other provinces and states across rural North America. But before I get into the details and specifics around that, just a little bit of context around where this whole thing came from. So and Melissa, would you like me to run the slides, or are you able to run them for me?
So,
Yeah.
So Andrew, hi, I'm Terry Doyle, I'm the CIO. And so the slides are on my computer, so I'll flip them. So you just tell me when.
Oh, fantastic. I'll just say next slide and we can move on. So I guess the most important thing to know about me is I'm unapologetically a rural guy. So I grew up in a small town in Newfoundland. I met a girl from a small town here in Nova Scotia and spent the first half of my career working with people in small town places to start companies. And I won't bore you with the details of sort of my whole history, but the last position I held formally in sort of this economic development space was with the Lunenburg Queens Regional Development Agency. It would have been the predecessor to what's now the REND. And a long story short, I ended up, through the work that we were doing there, recognizing that there was a massive pool of untapped entrepreneurial talent sitting on the sidelines in my own community. And despite the fact that we were doing lots of things to help them, they weren't plugging into that ecosystem. And that's where really Mashup Lab was born 8 years ago. Next slide. So the thing that really we've been rolling out across rural communities throughout Nova Scotia and Canada is what we call our virtual business incubator. That's what we call it with our economic development friends. When we go to promote it, we promote it as our dream business program. So you may have heard both of those things sort of happening out there, but they're really the same thing. And if we can just go to the next slide, the real sort of purpose of that program is really very simple. And that's to activate that untapped entrepreneurial talent that's sitting on the sidelines. We believe in every community and help those folks transform those great ideas into great businesses in those places. And if you just want to hit the next slide, I'll just walk you through just the general structure of it. I'm happy to dig into any more questions or details that you might be looking for in the Q&A. But simply put, we take a group of 15 people and we run them through a 6-week process where they get together every week for about 90 minutes as a group, but can also tap into unlimited sort of one-on-one coaching over the course of that period to help them, again, turn great ideas into great businesses. And often, I would say, is about a 70-30 split between people that go through the program that are working on brand new ideas for the first time, so they're first time entrepreneurs, but we also have folks that have been in business for 10 or 15 years. The world has changed around them. They need to reinvent how they make money. And but they're at this place of like, we're not quite sure what that looks like, what that new path looks like. So we get both of those kinds of people through the process. And then we culminate those 6 weeks with sort of week 7, which is our celebration night, and that's just an opportunity for us to give those entrepreneurs the chance to share their story with their community and say, hey, this is what we're working on. Next slide. So again, this is something we've been doing not only here in rural Nova Scotia, but in lots of other places across rural Canada. And just in the last 36 months, we've now put well over 450 entrepreneurs through that process in sort of their groups of 15 at a time. And those folks have gone on to start well over 275 businesses in over 220 communities across rural Canada and America. And I would say that at least a third of those folks are here in rural Nova Scotia. So we've been doing a lot of work in the early parts of our development here in rural Nova Scotia. And even just over the last year, we've done more activity here in rural Nova Scotia in 2022 than we did in the 2 years previous. So lots of entrepreneurial spirit and potential right here in our own backyard. And we believe there's a lot more to be had. And just go to the next slide. I'll tell you just a little bit of some of the unusual things that we end up seeing through this process. So well over 80% of those people have never signed up for a business or entrepreneurship program before, despite having access to all kinds of things, sometimes right in their own backyard. And I should have mentioned one of the big differences with the program is that it's delivered 100% virtual. So these are folks that get together. We use Zoom as the platform, but it's delivered 100% virtual, so they can participate wherever they can get a decent internet connection. It doesn't actually even need to be a great internet connection. As long as it's decent, they can participate. But 80% of them are people that have access to lots of programs and things that they could be signing up for, but they feel like all of that stuff is for somebody that's not them necessarily. So we've been able to figure out how to get their attention and get them actually off the sidelines and into the game. The other interesting thing with that group, and this is consistent with the results that we're seeing in the very first cohort that we ran here in Nova Scotia, as well as the ones that we've been running throughout rural Canada and the US. But approximately 75% of our participants are women, and half of them are women with kids under the age of 12. It's not something we sort of went out looking for, but based on what we do and how we do it, that's the kind of entrepreneur that was really attracted to this kind of a process. And we're learning lots of things about why that is. And approximately 30% of them would self-identify as being a part of some sort of minority group. That could be a newcomer to the community, a part of the LGBTQ plus community, an Indigenous entrepreneur, or some other sort of minority group within our population. Next slide. So like I said, this is something that we've been running here in rural Nova Scotia for a while, and it's something that we believe there's an opportunity to do more of. So over the past year, with the support of the province of Nova Scotia, we've been able to run, I think it was 25 cohorts or something over the course of between January and December of this past year. But for every cohort that we run, we tend to be oversubscribed. We end up, to fill those 15 spots, we typically get anywhere from 25 to 30 applications. And we believe there's a lot more entrepreneurial talent out there to be had as well. So what we're really looking for to share with you folks this evening is the opportunity we believe that exists in the town of Port Hawkesbury to help more people in your community get off the sidelines and into this game of entrepreneurship, and help them figure out how to start amazing companies in your community as well, and how they can plug into that robust ecosystem that we're building around them. So I'm just going to do a quick check. It looks like everybody sort of went off camera on my screen. Is everybody able to hear me okay? Are you still able to hear me and see me okay?
Okay, you're back on now. Sorry, you might have to backtrack like from a minute ago.
Oh, okay. Oh, cool. What was the last thing you heard?
Unless you were just
Hello.
going through the end of the slide, so I don't know.
Okay. So we believe that there's just a lot more entrepreneurial potential out there, and specifically in the town of Port Hawkesbury. So my ask of you this evening is, number one, I just hope you're aware of the activity that we're doing and how it fits with all of the other awesome things that are happening, both in the town as well as on Cape Breton Island, as well as the rest of Nova Scotia. But if you believe, like we do, that there is untapped entrepreneurial talent maybe sitting on the sidelines in your community, we'd love to chat with you about that and see if there's an opportunity for us to make a dedicated cohort happen just for folks within the town of Port Hawkesbury. So this is something similar that we're doing with the Guysborough Business Development Group that we're actually starting in March. We'll be running a dedicated cohort for folks in Guysborough County. There's 4 or 5 other communities that we're doing this in as well. That's really complementing the work that we're doing sort of province-wide with the support from the province of Nova Scotia. So thank you so much for the time this evening. I really appreciate the opportunity to chat with you. And like I said, if there's an opportunity for us to explore something specifically with the town of Port Hawkesbury in more detail, I'd love to follow up with the appropriate people to do that.
Fantastic. Thanks so much, Andrew. I'll just take this opportunity to open up the floor for questions from council. Okay, go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
Just one, Andrew, where are you situated at, did you say?
So I live just outside of Bridgewater, Nova Scotia, but the work that we've been doing province-wide since 2018.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Andrew, my name is Blaine McCorin. Thanks for the presentation. Hi. Just curious, how do you promote Mashup?
Yeah, fantastic. So there's really sort of one of the things that we have ended up doing over the last 8 years, Blaine, really figuring out how do we get the attention of people that don't tend to pay attention to this kind of stuff and get them, again, off the sidelines and into the game. So I've got several people on my team that all they do all day long is figure out how to do that better and better and better over the last 8 years. And so we use all of the same sort of traditional methods to promote it, where we are on social media, we get local community engagement to share those things. We leverage local email lists and newsletters and things, all of the traditional things. We just actually ran a radio campaign on the Hawk that you may have heard over the last few weeks, promoting the cohorts that start tonight. But the thing that really drives the most results are the things that my team does to add capacity and horsepower to that outreach that happens in the community. And those are several different sort of strategies that we've sort of figured out over the years that seem to get the attention of people, like I said, that don't tend to pay attention to this stuff. Things like sometimes local church auxiliaries have email lists that we share this kind of stuff. And you wouldn't naturally think of the local church auxiliary as being a way in which to promote this program, but they have the trust and attention of people that really have great ideas for businesses. Sometimes we'll post on Facebook buy and sell group. Again, not a typical avenue that one might take, but the people selling things on that buy and sell group are entrepreneurial by nature. And so we use those kinds of things to really dig deep into to a community, and quite often the folks that we're working with just don't have the capacity like we do to. They just don't have the time and the resources to be able to put that kind of horsepower behind that effort. But that's all we do all day long, right? So it's we're able to bring that kind of capacity to a community.
And so you mentioned some cohorts starting tonight. You mentioned Guysborough. There's a cohort in Guysborough starting in March. Would that be the closest to the community to Port Hawkesbury where you have a cohort taking place?
Yeah, great question. So I should clarify. So so we actually have 9 cohorts of people starting that 6-week process simultaneously tonight. So there's 5 of those cohorts that are folks from all over rural Nova Scotia. So those were cohorts that were funded by the province of Nova Scotia and open to any Nova Scotian in a rural place. And I took a quick look at the list before I came in. There's at least a handful of folks from the town of Port Hawkesbury that are actually going and starting that process tonight. But we also have a group in northern Wisconsin that's going through that program, as well as 2 cohorts of folks from Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Alberta, and BC that are all starting that process together. So the one that we're doing in March is being funded specifically with the partnership of the folks in Guysborough County, and is going to be dedicated to that community. And we believe that model, there's an opportunity to do that in a lot more places, because those 5 cohorts that are starting to tonight that were open to all rural Nova Scotia, we ended up getting over more applications than we had seats available. So we have excess demand for the thing that we're doing. We just need to figure out a way to bring the resources to the table to help those entrepreneurs in those places.
And I don't 18 minutes. Have you been in contact with the Strait Area Chamber of Commerce?
The Strait Area Chamber of Commerce, did you say?
Yes.
Yeah, so not directly about this opportunity, but they're a great partner for us in terms of promoting the cohorts that we've been running up to this point, and we've had many conversations with them in the past. But I would welcome the opportunity to reconnect with those folks if there's something specific that we should be chatting with there, for sure.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Andrew. Just quickly, I guess, in terms of follow-up information, if you could just send us a little bit of information around costing if we were to sponsor a cohort here with the town, or what that might look like, because Port Hawkesbury certainly is a regional center. So, we have a small population, but we service about 25,000 people daily. So this would be a great, I guess, starting point to do some kind of a regional cohort that maybe you're doing 3 or 4 cohorts of 15 out of this one location. So if you can kind of understand, I guess, send us some information so we can understand what that may look like. And then maybe we can, farm out some potential partners like the Cape Breton Partnership, or as Councilor McCrory has noted, the Strait Area Chamber of Commerce, and go from there. And I mean, it'd be pretty easy for us to throw something out on our social media to garner some interest. If you want to send us a little bit of information, promotional information, just to kind of test the waters in terms of interest, just to see if we would have an appetite. And it sounds like with a few already enrolled, there may absolutely be an appetite for that. But certainly, I guess we will happy to share any information you want to move forward to us in the next little while, and we can digest that at our next committee of the whole later in the month.
Fantastic. I will do it. Would Melissa be the right person to send that to Mayor?
Yeah, she would. And it's
Awesome.
great to meet you. I bet virtually.
Yeah, no, my pleasure. If any chance I get to come across the causeway, I take it. Just so happens it didn't work out for tonight. So maybe next time.
We can't blame you there. Maybe next time we'll see you in person. You're always welcome.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much. And again, thanks so much for the time tonight. Great to connect with you all.
Your time. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
All the best. Cheers.
Thanks. Do we have any acknowledgements this evening that council like? Go ahead, Councilor McIver.
Yes, Your Worship, through you. I'd like to acknowledge the Works Department for their quick response yesterday to NSCC as we had a water break in the building. We had 3 or 4 freezes of pipe, and I had called and they responded right away to shut the main off. And it saved the day.
That's great. We do have a pretty awesome public works complement
were
here
awesome.
at the town.
They were right there.
They make it easy for us to brag about them on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Any other acknowledgements this evening? Okay, we'll move on to, we have the approval of the council minutes. We have a joint public and committee of the whole meeting of January 17th. At this time, I would ask if there are any errors or omissions with regard to that meeting. Hearing none, I would ask if there is any business arising from those minutes of January 17th, 2023.
Just wondering, Your Worship, I was looking at, through you, was there any update on the dog situation or
That's,
animal situation in the civic center?
I think we were going to add that to our committee of the whole, so we'll be discussing that.
Okay, because I see that's just a follow-up here.
So we should have some information shared with us for the committee of the whole package in 2 weeks' time.
Thank you.
Any other business arising? Okay, so we have council committee reports. Terry, do we have any?
Madam Chair, we had a joint committee of whole public meeting in January, so there's no report
From
coming
my house?
from committee of whole.
Okay, perfect. Okay,
Do we need a
so
motion, Your Worship, for approval of the council meeting? Confused here.
since it was a public meeting, we don't necessarily have to have a
Okay.
motion. But if it was committee of the whole, we would require one, if it was solely a committee of the whole meeting. All right, so we don't have any business arising from the minutes because we don't have any reports coming out at this point. So in terms of in-camera, we don't have any motions coming from our in-camera session held prior to this meeting. And we do have correspondence that I did circulate, but we'll deal with that under approved additions for the request, the letter of support. Okay. Okay, and we have, of course, this housing, it's a new entity, the Nova Scotia Provincial Housing Agency. Did you want to give us a little update on that, Terry?
Sure, so this has been sent to council as well, and is also in your package. So it's from the province of Nova Scotia, just introducing Nova Scotia, the new Nova Scotia Provincial Housing Agency, which was formed by combining 5 agencies across the province. And there's detail on this new corporation.
So I believe it was sent for information purposes.
It's for information purposes.
Okay,
Your Worship,
go ahead.
through you, I think there was an email sent this evening from the NSFM executive for looking for members for housing agency. What was that part of this?
That, I didn't have a chance to see that email.
Okay, I just read it this evening.
But I'm glad you brought that up, and maybe we'll add that to our committee of the whole, so in case
Oh,
there's
okay.
any interest in our council to put their name.
Okay,
Thank you for
I know I
that.
got an email this evening.
Melissa, we'll get you to make a note of that for our committee of the whole.
So
Go ahead.
I think this is just a whole restructuring plan
Yeah.
for eliminated the local housing authority, right?
That's right, five combined into one.
Yes. Do we know if they continue under this new body to have offices though in each of the 5 regions? It's just that they don't have housing advisory committees.
Excuse me, Madam Chair, it's my understanding that, as an example, we used to have the Cape Breton Housing Authority.
Yes.
There is no Cape Breton Housing Authority, but there's still offices in Sydney.
Right.
So there's still maintenance people around the province. They still work from centers. And I believe that continues. I don't know if any of those centers have been amalgamated. I know that in with respect to Cape Breton Housing Authority, offices are still there, maintenance people are
Yes.
still in place.
Right. Thank you.
But certainly if council does have any questions that aren't addressed in the letter, we can definitely move those forward to garner some information if required. Just, I guess, forward them to myself or Melissa or Terry, and if any follow-up is required with regard to that correspondence. Okay, so I don't believe we have any proclamations or resolutions.
Just, Your Worship,
Sure.
on that, I did see another email on a proclamation. I think maybe we're going to deal with it in
Yes.
March.
Yeah, I forwarded that to Melissa and asked her to add it to our March public
March
meeting.
1, okay.
Yeah, I think it's for an April proclamation.
Chantel Hill, is it, or something?
Correct, yeah. Yeah, so we'll have that on our next public meeting.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Under other business, first item is council expenses.
Yes, Your Worship. So the council expenses have been forwarded in your package. So during the month of January, total expenses for councilors, mayor, councilors, and CAO was $2,230.18. This is posted on our webpage as well for public review at any time.
Okay, I appreciate that, Terry. And I just wanted, for the benefit of council, I just want to declare a conflict on the next item. In my conflict is that my daughter plays for the Cape Breton Lynx hockey team for the request that's come forward to council. So I would ask our deputy mayor if he would accept the chair for the purposes of that item. And maybe perhaps somebody can let me know when that item has been dealt with and is concluded.
Okay.
I'll take my phone if you can text.
Yeah, okay, then. Okay, council, 13 I guess, there's a request. The letter is there. What is the wish of council? I seen an email from Councillor Coyne that he supported a page ad, was it? Or was it a half a page ad? What's the recommendation of staff?
Yeah, yes, Chair. I'd just like to say, and I'm sure everybody has read the letter, but this is the premier women's hockey league in the province. They compete in the Premier League, so it's 18 and under AAA hockey, and they're hosting the Atlantics. It's actually an Atlantic League that they play in. So it's a significant event to be hosted locally, meaning locally for that team in Cape Breton.
And where exactly are the?
So there's a number of options, and what we've actually added, there's sort of two that staff thought was that may be appropriate. So the half page ad is $500. The full page ad is $800. If we look at what we've committed to other tournaments, just at our last public meeting, we donated $1,000 to the under 13 tournament, which is being held here, and that's the Atlantics as well. And we donated $450 to another provincial, I think it's, Aaron, can you help me? Is it
U15 AAA.
U15 AAA, but it's provincial championships, which is being held in Antigonish. So $450 for the provincial championship, $1,000 for the tournament being held here, Atlantics under 13, and this is under 18 AAA for Cape Breton region.
So is it all being held here?
No, it's not here. This tournament is not here. This is in member 2. We have members from this community.
Okay.
It's surrounding
Because
communities
I
on that.
thought you said it was being held locally. But
No,
yes.
the under 13 is being held.
No, I was in the last
And you donated $1,000 to that tournament. partially because, I'm sure because it's here as
Right.
well, and we're getting
Yeah.
ice and.
That's what, I made that motion, that's the reason I
Yes,
made
you
it,
did.
because it was over here, but it's up to council.
Question, Your Worship, through you. Do we have the money left in our donation?
There wouldn't be money in the donation budget, but I think we were looking at this through advertising budgets.
Your Worship, I would move the half page.
So, question through you, Deputy Worship, to Terry.
Are you seconding the motion? So
Well,
we can
okay,
get
I
on
can, we could do that. Sure, I'll second the motion. Okay. Deputy
Okay.
Worship.
the deputy worship. Yeah, go ahead, councillor.
So I maybe misunderstood Terry. Was there a second option, or was this was the recommendation from staff, was the half page? There wasn't a second, you didn't say there was a
Well,
second.
you could, I think there's another
Here's
option,
the
which is
options.
$1,000 for sponsoring a team.
Oh, yeah, no,
So-
but the recommendation for staff to council is this half page.
Well, we left it either or, the half page or the full page. One is, and it's obviously your decision.
Well,
So the
it's-
half page is 500,
Yeah.
full page is 800. Whatever you feel is appropriate.
I don't mind going the whole page.
Yeah, that's,
I'll amend the motion.
I can leave the chair and second this if you want one second. You want to take the chair here?
I'll second the motion, Deputy Worship.
Okay, hearing the motion, all those in favor signify by saying, I'm assuming there's no more debate. No debate, no questions being called, so I'll call for the motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Unanimously.
Just keep going.
Keep going, yeah, we could do that. What's the next thing? Tamarack Education Letter of Support. Yeah, another letter.
There's the motion.
There she is. You heard me? Okay,
Thank you so much, Deputy Mayor.
you're welcome.
All right,
Go ahead.
so.
Welcome back.
Thank you. So the next item is the Tamarack Education Center Letter of Support. They are putting in an application to build a new playground, and they're looking for a support letter. What's the wishes of council?
So just, your worship, just to the point made in the second last paragraph, Karen writes that I'm not sure if the town is able to give this or not, or if there are other applications in town being considered. And I would think other applications, she's referring to the Recreation Facility Development Grant. So I don't know if we are considering our own applications, but if we were, that wouldn't preclude us from doing a letter of support.
No.
I wouldn't think so.
No.
But
So
it's
I'd make a motion, your worship, that we would offer the Tech Playground Committee a letter of support in their application for the Recreation Facility Development Grant for, I guess specifically for playground structure at the tech school.
perfect. And we do have a draft letter for consideration.
Oh,
They do.
It's good, it's in the package if that's okay.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, so we do have a draft letter of support in our package. It's been moved by Councilor Corey and seconded by Deputy Mayor. And what is the wishes of council? Any discussion on the motion, or? I guess all pressure's on you, Councilor Cox.
No, I'm good. Question.
Okay, the question has been called. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded. Okay, the letter of support is approved, and I will work with Melissa to have that finalized and sent off. And we have an accessibility advisory appointment. So we do have you can go forward to the motion. Melissa?
Oh, sorry.
Karen is?
Karen Stevens.
Karen Stevens.
Correct. So we did have a interest that was expressed from our Accessibility in Port Hawkesbury Facebook group. Karen has asked for us to consider her to participate on their Accessibility Advisory Committee. She's passionate about accessibility and likes where the town is going and would like to participate. So I told her that the process would be such that we require a motion of council to have her join the committee, so that decision is in your hands.
Your worship, I'd make a motion to appoint Karen Stevens to the Accessibility Committee for the town of Port Hawkesbury.
Seconded.
Okay, any discussion?
Question?
Okay, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded? Okay, the motion is approved. And Melissa and I will connect with Karen just to let her know, so that she's included in the email list for the upcoming meeting. The next item is the Federation of Canadian Municipalities Conference. Over to you, Terry.
So Councilor McDougall actually has to add this.
Yes,
Apologies.
no
Over to you,
problem,
Deputy Mayor.
no problem, your worship. Through you. Historically, in February, we discussed the Federation of Canadian Municipalities Annual Conference, which takes place this year in May. It's usually the 1st of June, but it's the end of May. And I have been in contact with Melissa, and Melissa or myself, I used to get all the information for registration, but nothing has been sent out yet. I know I never got it, Melissa, I don't think you did either. And I just wanted to get that on the radar so that when we're ready for anybody to go, we can be ready.
Yeah.
And just a question that I just thought of, and not trying to put Aaron on the spot here, but are dues paid up, Aaron? Because I remember last year, I think I called you on that also, and I think we paid it up.
I think the email came through to Terry, and I think we printed and paid it, yeah. But we
Okay.
can double check that.
Okay, no, that'll be
Yeah.
fine. Thank you.
It's good that we won't get kicked out from the
Yeah,
board.
We're good for
exactly.
it. We're good for it.
That'll be good for it.
Thank you for saving us that embarrassment.
No, you're not dues, I bet see it.
Yeah,
No.
so I guess once we do get the logistical information with regard to room blocks, et cetera, then Melissa can pull council to see who may be interested in attending.
Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you, appreciate you putting that on our radar. So we do have one approved addition, and that is another letter of support coming forward from the St. Joseph's CWL. And just to give a little context, I know we have worked with St. Joseph's throughout COVID to put on some seniors dinners that were very well received and lots of compliments. They ongoing have been wonderful partners with the town of Port Hawkesbury and other, certainly other organizations in the community. So if council is in agreement, there is a draft letter there that will help support their application to the Nova Scotia Department of Communities, Culture and Heritage and Tourism. So what is the wishes of council?
I would move, Your Worship, that we send the draft, or send a letter in support.
Okay, do we have a seconder?
Second it?
Okay, any discussion on the draft letter?
Question?
Question has been called. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Contrary minded? Okay, the letter is approved. Future meetings, we have our committee of the whole for Tuesday, February 21st, and then followed by our next public meeting of council for March 7th. And I'm assuming somewhere in between February 21st and March 7th, we'll likely have some budget meetings that we'll have to pull council to get those etched in, I guess, and reserved in our calendars so we can get that process started. And at this point,
So your worship, what were the dates you mentioned? Between when and when?
I'm assuming sometime either before or after our committee of the whole, we'll probably be considering some budget dates that we'll want to
Okay.
kind of get into our calendars. And with that, I would ask, I know we don't have any gallery in person. But if there are any questions from any of our virtual in-gallery participants, the process typically is, I guess you would start by unmuting, letting us know your name, and you're welcome to ask any questions that pertain to the agenda that we have reviewed this evening. So if there are any questions, going once, going twice. Okay. I would ask now if council would consider a motion of adjournment.
So move.
Do we have a seconder? Councilor MacGyver, would you like to second the adjournment motion?
The meeting was kind of short.
Short meeting?
I'll second it.